We can't hear anything for what it's worth.
Got it, Andrew. Thank you. Can you hear anything now?
Yeah, thank you.
I know, I'm sorry. It's not a lot we can do here.
The complainant can now make their second
Yeah, I'm not
statement
connected to the house.
and
Like, oh, I disconnected you. Okay, yeah, I just heard.
and present.
Hi, my name is Jacob Smith. I'm the Elections Administration Committee Operations Co-Chair. And for this first complaint for EPP Section 6-2AI, campaigning on light poles, I want to note that this has been corrected. It's a minor infraction, and so it's dismissible.
The respondent is now able to respond to. All right, hello, my name is Naomi Snow. Jigga covered it pretty well. It was just an accident. We corrected it, and we made sure to be more careful of not posting on light posts after this happened. It was an honest mistake. We took it down in 24 hours. There's not really much else to it. Thank you. Thank you. If there's any questions from the Judicial Committee about any specifics or any questions from that, we will be taking. No. Any questions from you guys? No? Okay, then we will move on to the next complaint. Thank you so much. Thank you. Complaint number 2 filed by Jacob Gannon against Francisco Dohena. Francisco, you're able to take a stand. We don't follow the same process as we just did. So Jacob, you'll be able to make your opening statement.
All right, for this second complaint, I'm not going to repeat my name, but this was for EPP Section 1. And since submitting this complaint, I've also learned that violations cannot be submitted for breaking the fair campaign practices statement. And so I think this also fits under the strong code of ethics. Francisco distributed a questionnaire that asked about students around campus and what their needs were in reference to how candidates could support them better. But it referenced that it was made in conjunction with the EAC. We were not involved with that. However, Francisco took action to correct this. It's a minor violation and it's also dismissed.
Thank you so much, Francisco.
Yeah, hi, I'm Francisco. So yeah, that was definitely a mistake on my part. I was definitely a bit bored with that. I did plan, but then I didn't, so that's my apology. And so yeah, I did take it down within like 24 hours immediately when I was informed of it. So thank you.
If there are any questions from the Judicial Committee, feel free to ask them. No, any questions from either substitute? Okay, we'll move on to the next complaint. Thank you so much. Our next complaint is also filed by Jacob Gannon against respondent allegedly. If you even can come to the stand. The complaint was filed against EPP Section 3 candidacy and filing subsection 3A7. Jacob, you have your statement.
Thank you. So this complaint was about the campaign ethics seminar, and I filed this on March 29th. Nandina was unable to attend the campaign ethics seminar or the makeup session, and we did not receive any notification that she planned to be absent so that we could give accommodations for that. I believe this is a major violation and it's not something that was able to be corrected.
And then I'm able to make a mistake now. Yeah, I was not able to make the first one, and I notified Jacob about it because I had an appointment, and I was on like the second one either because I had a thing for my dance team that I could not miss. But yeah, it was an honest mistake. I don't have much else to say. And just quick follow-up question: did you say Mama not notified you or did not?
This one was a while ago, so let me double check. Make sure that
Yeah, I remember like notifying for the initial one, for the second.
you're right.
Do you remember how you notified him? Was it email? Thank Thank you. Are there any other questions from the rest of the committee?
Do either of you discussing second session?
Point of personal privilege, can you speak into the mic and raise your hand when you ask a question?
I was going to ask, do either of you remember discussing the second session at all, either online or text or in any way?
I don't believe we talked about that online or individually, but we sent a reminder the night or two before that second session occurred.
And did you respond to that reminder?
I don't believe I did. I was not in the state.
I understand. Thank you both.
Did you by chance attempt to like send a proxy or not, campaign manager?
Not a proxy, but did you attempt to email Jacob after you came back from your dance competition?
No, because I didn't really, because Jacob already said there was a complaint process. I didn't really think that there was anything I could really do at that point. If that makes sense.
And then you said you have the email from the first.
I should, yeah.
I think it would be nice if we had physical copy, if you're able to provide this. But do you have it, Jacob?
I'll do this.
If you guys don't have it right now, we can, if you email it later, we will take that into consideration. Sometime tonight, we will take that into consideration. Executive session.
I hope the
Okay. Would you want to just read it out really quickly for me? Thank you so much.
and I think
March 1st.
and I said, hi, I just filed for candidacy for the 2024 ACO BOD elections. However, unfortunately, we will be flying out of state tomorrow for an RSO event and won't be able to make the ethics seminar. Is there any additional information about the makeup date? I was told to email before the EAC and let them know I'll be missing. Thanks again. I'll never get a date.
What was the date in which Jacob responded to the email? Just so I know, because you did ask about the session. And once again, if you can't find that right
Now, do you know which email you sent it to? It might have been to Sophia.
EAC at UW.
Yeah, that one's to Sophia. So I don't have access to those emails.
okay, well,
We can look into that.
okay, that would be great. Thank you so much. We'll move on to the your complaint is also from Jacob Gannon. The respondents are Naomi Snow, Nandana JD, Lydia Bermu, Zoe Simons, Andrew Stanfield, Peter Sachs, and Maya Luke. It was concerning EPP section 6, campaigning subsection 5J, and chapter 28. Jacob, you're able to start with it.
Thank you. Just a little bit of background. This was a violation for campaigning on King County Metro stops. There's a location down by Meeting Hall, kind of on, I think it's like Stevens Way, northeast, something like that, along that main road, going up into campus from west. And there were a couple different posters that were put up in that bus stop, but it's a violation of King County Code Chapter 28.96, like we said, Sejal. It was corrected, but I'm unsure if this is a major or severe violation, just because it does follow under that local, state, or federal law violation. So I believe this is not dismissible.
Yeah, to kind of give like our perspective on it, like on the EPP, it doesn't exactly say all of these small rules on King County Code, and it was an honest mistake. Kind of looking at bus stops, you see a lot of pictures on there. You don't really think twice, like it's King County Code, because you see just so many of them. As soon as we found out that we took them down, it was a genuine, honest mistake. And I really hope next year that kind of just King County Code and stuff is more transparent to candidates so that they aren't charged for learning on all these small rules online and get them these like severe and major violations. Anything you want to add? Like, yes, thank you. And again, I want to thank too the EAC for also letting us know on this. I honestly just had no idea. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that. Just a question I had. What was the time frame in which the EAC told you about the complaint and you took them off the bus stop? Yeah, I believe they said within 24 hours and we did take them. Thank you so much. If the judicial committee has questions.
Yeah. Was this just one bus stop and this, or was it?
It was just.
Is there phone?
Do you know if the bus stop, if the land the bus stop we stood on belonged to the University of Washington? Is it part of what we consider campus?
I believe all of the land that is occupied by those King County Metro stops are part of right of way, which is under either the state or the city.
My question is related to like whether the University of Washington, this body necessarily has jurisdiction over that. My question is like it, with that in mind, like was like I'm thinking about the bus stop at Pandoriel where you can just sort of walk off and it's on campus. It's like that, or is it like the ones down in the University Ave area?
Can you clarify what you mean by just walk off?
Well, I'm talking about there's some bus stops that are indisputably on campus. There's some bus stops that are not, and I'm asking which one this is.
This one is the one by Meany. It's kind of on the back side, and it is definitely on a sidewalk immediately adjacent to the building of a campus building.
Okay, I think I can picture the one that you're talking about. Thank you for that.
If there's this case, as Jacob said, Mike is not full of speech dismissed, does not think so. Do you have a rebuttal, Jacob?
I just wanted to clarify that we did give information at the ethics seminar in several of our emails, reminding people that because of the way that the EPP is written, simply not knowing all of the rules doesn't excuse you from committing violation. And I acknowledge that it's difficult to know all of the things in this, I think, 26-page document, 21-page document. But I think if you took that and then applied it to something that could obviously be seen as a violation and said that because you weren't aware of that, you're not guilty, then it doesn't make sense to use smaller stuff.
And did you want to respond?
Yeah, to clarify, to kind of clarify, we're not saying that we're not guilty. I take full ownership for this. This was just an honest mistake. That wasn't my intention. I just want to clarify that. I understand that we definitely should have spent more time going through these small, fine details. Again, we honestly just saw all the posters on there. We're like, oh, let's make it here too. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for both of you guys' perspectives. We will definitely take that into consideration. Be able to go back. Is Aiden Leader here currently? No? Okay. We will be moving on.
We have, do you know how to know Aiden's on Zoom? For chance? No, okay, because there's an anonymous person in the attendees, but I don't know if that's Aiden or not.
I think Aiden told me specifically to email that he would be arriving following 6:30. Yes, until 6:30.
Okay, we have 6 minutes. We're moving on then, okay. Who's next? Calvin. Okay.
We will be going past complaint number 5, Aiden Meter, and moving on to the next one, followed by complainant Calvin Emerson against respondents Snow, Nandana, JB, Maya, and Maya Luke. This was filed against section 6 of the EPP, 5E facility services policy. I'm able to make your opening statement now.
Hi, all. Thank you. So just to read the rules here. Section 6, Rule 5E of the EPP states that no candidate may, in the course of campaign, violate any UDOG policies or laws, including the improper posting of campaign signing. This explicitly includes the UDOG facility services policy. Banners, posters, chalk is the section. Rule 1, no campaign material may be posted on any buildings, flower beds, trees, shrubs, litter containers, light posts, etc. I would now like to present, as part of this complaint, I did provide photographic examples. Is that available to present, or I have them here on my computer just in case? But does the board have access to those photos?
Are you on?
Yes, we do have access to those photos.
Okay,
I will pull them up, or they are also in picture.
I can describe the photos here. There are 2 photos from the Vote for the Pack Instagram account, which is their official account on their story. They read, the first one presents Naomi Snow and Milo Gulapu, we're pronouncing that last name right, mentioning president candidate and candidate for director of campus partnerships. Make sure to check out our posters at Kane. They're seen visibly standing next, they are holding the posters. They're standing next to an image of them, their poster, clearly on one of the columns at Kane Hall. And the next image is Nathan Deep, who is, the image shows her physically posting the poster to a wall. It reads, our VP candidate hard at work, vote for the pack. Now, this I think is pretty evident in terms of why it violates this rule. It very clearly shows them actively placing the posters on a space they are not allowed to place them. And that is all I will say about that.
Thank you so much. I'm able to take your opening statement.
Awesome, thank you. So this is our, I believe, 4th violation on posters. I'll point out these are all within like the same like day of complaints. I want to be clear that we had around 1 to 2 days of just postering where I either misinterpreted the EPP or just didn't know to look into depth to all these minor rules. Again, we take ownership and we are guilty for this. We posted it, not realizing our mistake. We took the post down, not to hide that we were guilty, but there was a mistake and we don't want to promote that on our account and to other candidates too. I take full responsibility for this. It was a genuine mistake. And again, like, I know there's a lot of complaints on these posters, but it really just was like us kind of going around campus, all these little spots, within like a 1 to 2 day period. Yeah, also one thing I'll point out too is we did talk to Jacob Gannon about this when it happened. We told him about it ourselves and he told us that he didn't file a complaint. You can speak on this too, Jacob. But that you didn't file a complaint because again it wasn't posted very well in the EPP and that he knows that like it wasn't intentional. You can I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, it's just we had a conversation about it and I did self-report it. So yeah, thank you.
Just a clarifying question, just as I've asked previously, do you know the exact time frame in which you took the story post down from when the EAC happened?
Yeah, as soon as we found out, it was like less than 12.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much. If the Judicial Committee has any other questions, can you please raise your hands? I will ask.
So just to clarify for everyone, you guys did not know you could post on buildings at all?
Yeah, no, again, we kind of just saw a bunch of other posters up on buildings and just kind of, it was definitely a, what's the word? Like oversight on our part, but no, we were just not aware of it.
And did you, Naomi, go to the ethics meeting?
I did go to the ethics meeting. I gotta take ownership for this. It is my fault. We're just kind of forgetting to look into it. I'll clarify that at the ethics meeting, they don't explicitly say like the facility policies. They do tell us. I don't remember exactly, but I should have said earlier to like look into it. I would say, but again, like I take full responsibility for this. Yeah, thank you.
What was the total length of time the posters were up on Kane Hall?
They were checking.
It was about 2.5 hours. I took
Around 2.5 hours to echo what Peyton said.
Great, thank you.
May I, unless there are further questions from the Judicial Committee?
Yes, you can make your go ahead.
Oh, great. I don't have a rebuttal. I understand what they said lately, and I would just like to say as an additional public comment that though I felt the need to, given the very clear proof of the matter and how it was a public issue, I felt the need to bring this complaint forward. In terms of the rule that is the basis of this complaint, I don't believe in it. I believe that it is, as it stands, it is too restrictive. It too clearly demonstrates what you can't do without providing, especially for candidates like myself who are independent, who don't have as many time and resources, what they can do. For example, just to reread this again, no campaign material may be posted on any buildings. I would like someone to prove to me there's a space anywhere on campus, a single wall to put a poster on that isn't inherently connected to a building. This is a rule that I believe could be reworked, and I encourage the next group of the ASU Board of Directors, Election Action Committee, to review this law, to work with UW facilities, to provide spaces where posters can be placed, because I think it is it is an accessible, anyone can make a poster, and it gives more leave. If we were to rewrite this, we can give more breathing room to independent candidates and provide them with more ways to present themselves in ticket-heavy races. So that's all I'll say on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Loveland and Naomi and Nandana. Once we go into executive session and we start decisions about all of the hearings, we will also be taking into considerations anything that we need to improve for next year onwards, and we will present these concerns to the board of directors. So we really appreciate you guys sharing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your consideration. Thank you so much.
Hi, so I moved to take from the table, complaint 5 EPP section 6, campaigning subsection 2AI.
All those in favor say yes. Well, all those in favor on the judicial committee say yay. With majority, we will be taking that motion and will aid and meter the complainant come to the stand, as well as the respondents Naomi Smith, Lydia Bernu, Zoe 70s, Andrew Stanford, and his sons. Also come to the stand, please. As mentioned previously, this is a complaint against EPP section 6 2A1 for the facilities service policy. Thank you so much. Aiden, when you're ready, you can read your opening statement.
Hi, I'm Rita. Use they them pronouns, and on this, it was just a simple matter. I saw it a violation on a light post, and it was a breach of it. There wasn't much to it. The proper format was to submit a violation, and so that's all that this mostly is.
Thank you. Will you two introduce yourselves and then also opening statements?
Yeah, I'm Peyton Sachs. Again, this is another poster violation, which I want to put out there that I did single-handedly take down every single one of them. And I was attempted to at least be as diligent as possible to take all of them down. And within that 24-hour period, this is another similar situation. It was taken down within that 24-hour period, and I appreciate you filing a complaint for something that needed a complaint about. So yeah, take full responsibility for that.
One thing I'll add on to is I believe the incident that Aiden's talking about was also filed as a complaint for one of Jacob's, the light post ones. Was kind of like a repeat violation being filed for the same incident. But again, thank you for bringing this up. We take full ownership for it. We do know that this is a repeat violation. We just wanted to hear the perspective of Aiden's. If you had anything else to add. If there's nothing else from you two, I will be taking questions from the rest of the judicial. No questions, you two are free to go back to your seats. Thank you so much. We will be moving on to complaint number 7, filed by Jacob Gannon against Isha Hussein concerning EPP section 6, subsection 5A. Is Isha ready?
All right, this is Jacob Gannon again, EAC Operations Co-Chair. And this was for a violation of EPP Section 6.5A, like Sejal said, campaigning in the hub near the ACW Office 121 suite. This was corrected. I'm unsure if it is a minor or major violation because it was within the hub and directly adjacent to the ACW office. It was posted in the glass windows kind of around the entryway. And that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you. Isha, you were able to make your opening statement now and provide any evidence or witnesses.
Hello, my name is Isha Hussein, and as I am currently studying abroad in Rome, there is no physical way for me to post flyers in the hub. Thank you.
Do we have any clarifying questions from the rest?
Do you by chance know who could have put it up?
No, I do not know.
Do you know if these posters in the hub were taken down after the 24-hour?
Yes, they were. I had my friends go around the hub and remove all flyers that had my image on them.
Jacob, do you have anything you want to say in response?
I guess I would note that if you view the image of the poster that I submitted, it's in the same style and format as the other images that were posted by the candidates campaign through Instagram and other forms. And so I guess I have trouble seeing that it wasn't in some way related to the campaign or the campaign manager. And thus it can be assumed that any of the things posted by an affiliate, campaign manager, or the candidate themselves fall under the actions of the candidate themselves.
Thank you so much. Isha, is there anything you'd like to add on?
I would have to disagree with you, Jacob. It seems like somebody took a screenshot from the Instagram page because those weren't the official flyers I even used while running. There was just the introduction for Instagram.
Do you, Isha, do you have any of the original flyers that you created that were further distributed while you were campaigning? And is there any way that you could provide the Judicial Committee with those flyers?
Yes, I can. I can send you the flyer I used to campaign through email.
Thank you so much. Is there any other questions from the Judicial Committee? Seeing as there's nothing else, we will move on to the next complaint. Thank you so much. Complaint number 9 was filed by Tanya Getrahan and Robert Goldsmith against the respondents Naomi Snow, sorry, 8. Naomi Snow, Nandana JD, Lydia Brunu, Zoe Sarambi, and Lucian L. James. Thank you so much for stand. This complaint was filed against the EPP section 6 for campaigning. Tanya and Robert, you are free to make your opening statements and provide additional evidence. Robert came up to me previously and asked about witnesses.
No, that was.
For another one. You're free to make your opening statement.
Okay, thank you. This, we submitted evidence was a violation of somebody putting a sticker and defacing our own campaigning material. Last year, I was the EAC co-chair, and these candidates made similar violations with putting their posters blatantly around campus on buildings and taking similar actions that we have seen. So I filed this because not only did they deface our Positive Progress campaigning materials, but it was posted on a window of a business. We got permission to put that up, and we took it down on time. I don't think they got permission to put a sticker on the outside. Thank you.
Naomi and Navina, your looks make your opening statements. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. So also, just starting off with like last year, I don't think a complaint was filed in such a manner, so I don't think that's a valid argument, because as far as I can remember, maybe I'm mistaken, there was no like valid complaint or like hearing about us defacing anyone else's poster. And also second, we did not do it. We were giving out stickers all week to like people who like we were campaigning. So, oh, do you want a sticker? Or there are some people came up to us and asked, oh, can we have a sticker? So we did give out a lot of stickers, and it wasn't anyone of us or our friends who put that up. And also, as soon as we found out, I personally took that sticker down myself, and I like had to put water on it and take it down because it was hard to take off. I did try my very best to take it down. Naomi was with me. And additionally, we did have conversations with people on the ticket. Like I think Christian talked to Maya, and we said that we don't know who did it. And I believe I said that, yeah, we know it wasn't you guys. So yeah, that's what I have to say. Yes, you can come up to the stand.
Speaking to what Nandan just mentioned about us having a conversation with them on April 17th, we actually, they were walking by our table in the quad, and Naomi personally apologized to some of the members on the ticket, and Christian did confirm that they knew that it wasn't us that did it at that time. And then Nandana also went into detail about how she removed the sticker as well.
One thing I'll add on to is kind of just coming from like another candidate, like this makes our ticket look really bad. Like I think anybody walking by would see that if someone defaced another candidate's poster, like I would not vote for them. I don't think any reasonable person would. So it generally was not like whoever did this was not in our best interest. I mean, we don't actually know the intention at all, but this is something we would ever do. It hurts our campaign. So we were sorry, and again, I am truly sorry of whoever like defaced your poster. We know those cost money and it takes effort to put them up. We would never do it. I'm very sorry. But it was not us. I've talked to every single person that I ran with, and it was not them. We have no idea who did it. And again, kind of the liability of handing out stickers. There's any campaign material that people can use that against you and to have the complaints against you. Yeah. Again.
Inquiry from my end. Robert, were you referring to past complaints filed against these two individuals related to just general campaigning or specifically stickers?
I was just giving context for last year that these violations were made last year as well. So there's no point to say that I didn't know, because it's been the second year that these candidates have run. And I'd also mentioned that the EPP states that ignorance is not a way to plea for not being guilty. Thank you.
A follow-up. I'm so sorry. Were you referring to as these complaints as in all the complaints that have been filed until now, or just the one right now?
All the complaints I've been talking about up until now.
Thank you so much.
Point of inquiry on the location of the defaced posters. Were they on or off campus?
These posters were off campus. Like I said, they were on the outside of a business, or actually our poster was on the inside of a business. We got permission to put there by the business owner. And then the sticker was placed on the outside of the glass. Yeah.
Yeah, can I add on something quick? Point of inquiry. Yeah. So yeah, just again, as to what I said, I don't think there was a complaint made last year about us defacing any poster. So I really don't see how that's a substantial argument unless there was a legitimate complaint, because we personally did not do that last year and we did not do it again this year. And I don't think it's negligence because like we didn't do it and we really have no control over what other people do. And as soon as we found out, like I literally put water on it, did my very best to like take that off myself. So yeah, that's all I really have to say.
Point of information, I think what Robert is saying is all of the complaints that have been filed against your ticket so far were the ones that have been previously filed in the past year. So he's just talking about general campaigning policies, and that ignorance in general is just what he was talking about.
Thank you. Can I make a rebuttal? Like I said before, and I told the candidates last year that ignorance is not a plea for freedom. Also, the EPP states under section 6, campaigning, that any campaigning material put up is assumed to be placed by the candidates. So any plea of somebody else did it, that's not valid. The EPP is very clear. You've attended 2 ethics seminars, and we've gone through the process twice. I don't see a reason why this should be thrown out. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Naomi. Yeah, one thing I'd like to point out is I don't think it's fair to one talk about other complaints, try and make this complaint more of a valid argument. This is a separate incident. That has nothing to do with the posters that we put up. Yeah.
Hi, I have a point of information for the Judicial Committee. What is the statute of limitations on complaints that can be referenced? Is it just this year or does it also extend to last year? Because I would like to know if the bringing up complaints from last year is even something that the Judicial Committee can consider.
We will.
Thank you.
I would like to. Yes. Just understand.
I just wanted to respond to the comment that was made regarding you can't say ignorance regarding campaigning. My name was on this complaint, but Tanya did text me saying, I know you did not do this. So it's hard to say that we're being ignorant when you're saying one day we did it, but one day we didn't do it.
If you had that specific text, yeah, I can show her.
And can I rebut it? Yeah, I was specifically talking about an individual. I know that Lydia was filed as a complaint, but that does not exclude the rest of the people that ran on this ticket. So the only person I was saying I was excluding, and just to give back, me and Lydia are cousins. So the reason that we were having this conversation was because as I went up to her and I asked her first before we filed this complaint, if she was aware, if it was her ticket that did this. And she told me that on her end, she told me that she didn't know who did it. So then I had that understanding. But when we filed this complaint, we had to file it because I was still unsure and we didn't have any evidence. And that's why we're bringing it to Judicial today to figure out who's responsible. Thank you.
Thank you so much. In the specific text it would go, I know it's not you.
Yes, I decided.
So just a clarifying question, did you mean specifically her or just?
I was specifically talking about Lydia Barhano. I was not talking about the rest of the people.
Someone's raising their hand.
Okay, so we are allowed to make a point of inquiry.
I'm very sick, so I'm just gonna preface with that. But did you or did you not receive an apology / confirmation that we didn't do it? Because you guys haven't directly responded to the comments we've made about talking to Christian Flynn, etc., about the stickers, and that we actually took it down. We also have texts between ourselves, and we can submit those too, finding out about the stickers through our campaign manager and immediately getting on it to take them down. So yeah, you're saying that you didn't have any correspondence with us, because that's what it seems.
I'm not saying that there wasn't any correspondence, but informal correspondence does not mean that this is not a violation nonetheless. And the EPP is pretty clear in a couple sections that I've already mentioned a few times, that any campaigning material put out is assumed to be put out by the candidates.
Point of information. I'm the campaign manager in question. I was alerted, someone sent me a photo and said, were you aware that this campaign that you are affiliated with has stickered over someone's poster? I said, absolutely was not aware. And I immediately left. I'm specifically the campaign manager for Maya Lukalaka. I see hands. Should I know? No, okay, go ahead. I received notice on April 10th. This complaint looks to have been filed the 14th, just for everyone's reference. I messaged Maya directly and was asked if she had any knowledge of this. She seemed very surprised and immediately messaged the rest of the ticket. And I believe that was when Nandana went and took it down herself. Thank you.
Okay. Before I move to an consideration of this matter, because I think we are going in circles currently, if you have texts of you in that conversation, it would be great if Judicial could have screenshots of those so we can take that into consideration when we go into executive session. But otherwise, thank you so much for both of your perspectives. We will now be moving on to complaint number 9, filed by complainants Robert Goldsmith, Vitanya Giton, Esther Himarthard, and Adam Stratton, filed against respondents Nandana Jaideep, Naomi Snow, Maya Lukalaka, and Vidya Brittany. Robert Escobar. Whenever you're ready, you're able to make your opening statements. I just wanted to clarify that this is just part of the EPP that was for the 20 people, right?
Yes, this is part of the EPP from this year. We're just submitting it as well, so we have listed out every section, because I put all others that may apply because of various violations.
And then this complaint is in coordination with EPP section 7, 8D campaigning, EPP section 6, 5I campaigning, and everything else that may apply as well. It's just stated. You two are able to make your opening statement. Just please introduce yourself if you haven't been to the stand yet.
Awesome. Yeah, my name is Adam Scraven. Yes, we're going to make a statement. Thank you for having us, you guys. We decided to file a complaint regarding incidents that occurred during the voting period of Pepper Hall on Monday, April 15th, approximately. Last week, Ethan Bay, an acquaintance of mine, reported to me that he and his friends, Haku Chang and Bailey Feinstein, were subjected to harassment, intimidation, and coercion by members of the PAC ticket, namely Nandana Jaideep and Maya Lukalaka, to vote for all members of the PAC ticket, especially Naomi Snow and the actions described are deeply troubling and demonstrate a blatant disregard for democratic processes and institutions. After all, 2 current members of the board should be well versed in the rules and bylaws of ASUW better than anyone else ever in this election. Such behavior constitutes a severe violation and warrants immediate action. We firmly believe that any response short of disqualification would set a dangerous precedent, encouraging future incidents of voter intimidation and fraud in ASUW elections. Therefore, we respectfully request that under the EPP, the judicial take decisive action by disqualifying the implicated ticket. Allowing them to remain in contention would undermine the legitimacy of the electoral process and the integrity of ASUW. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Maya and Nanda, you are able to make your opening statements. Okay, I would like to start off by saying, like, first of all, Maya wasn't at Packer Hall. It was only me and Lydia that day, and we did not harass, intimidate, or I don't know what the other word was, but coerce people into voting. Like, for the most part, during our whole campaign process, all we really did was go up to people, ask them if they had a minute. If they didn't, we respectfully said have a good day and left them alone. If they seemed interested in hearing about our ticket, we informed them about our ticket and then told them about like what we're about, who we are, what we do, and then just told them that if that resonated with them, they should vote for us. And I believe that's just fair campaigning. And also, this complaint doesn't make sense because Naomi and Maya weren't even there. They all I am so sorry about that. Continue. Yeah, Naomi and Maya were never in Packer Hall during the whole 3 days of campaigning. Lydia and I were there. We were talking to people, but we were simply having like pleasant conversations with them. And back over at 7:36.
It's logged up to the Zoom, so they've made a request judicial if they can. The witness can make. Okay. And I told them
Before
it's up
we
to
hear
them.
final statements, I would like to ask both the respondents and the complainants to directly address the board, the Judicial Committee and everyone on this table, please, instead of trying to address each other or the people behind you, as one, it makes it hard to hear on Zoom and it just makes everything a lot smoother. I was notified that one of the witnesses was here, but before that, I would like to ask a question. What were the reasons that your witnesses were not able to show up
They had,
previously?
they were not able. Yeah. They don't feel comfortable being here. And we talked to the person, I think, as well. And we renamed them on Zoom to anonymous because they did not feel comfortable. After they did receive here and they did get here, they did not feel comfortable after seeing that the respondents were here. So that's the reason why they're here. So.
Okay, thank you so much for letting us know.
So your witnesses can identify each person that they spoke to that day?
Yes, they're on Zoom. So
Do they know their names as well?
Well, yes, and they're the candidates that they remember, but that doesn't mean that there weren't other people there. I don't know if we should approve them being anonymous because as has been talked about, this is a crime level accusation that's being made. So I think with that in mind, the US Constitution states that everybody has a right to confront their accuser, and that's my concern.
No worries, I totally take that into consideration. Also, their names were written in the witness statement. So
We're just asking for it to be anonymous to the public, but the Judicial Committee has their names. They signed the document.
for the person,
Yeah, anything that you submit is public information and can be obtained through the Public Request Act.
Well, there does that.
we do understand that some people want to remain anonymous, but just for this situation, as this is public information, if we could know which witness is here today, that would be great. And they can make their statements and the judicial work ask questions as they ask.
Do you want me to identify the people that are in Zoom right now? That's correct.
They should identify themselves.
Let them know.
Yes, the individuals or the witnesses in the Zoom, if you are able to introduce yourselves, that would be great, and just make your statements.
Wait. Okay, so there's two of us right now. Do you want us to just say like the statement of what we experienced?
We've gone through the witness statement that you two have.
Okay.
Given us,
So
but can you two please state your names? We do understand that you asked to be anonymous, but because this hearing is public, we.
Ethan Bay and Bailey Feinstein.
Thank you so much. You're able to make your statements.
Okay. Bailey, do you want to go first or I can? Okay, I can speak for both of us and then Bailey can chip in if needed. This is just our experience. So, two girls, one of them Nandana Jaideep and the other one Maya Lukalapu. They approached me and two of my friends, and they asked us if we supported minority women in leadership. And obviously we agree with this and we're all for it. But we weren't expecting them to use this statement and kind of leverage it into saying it that, they should vote for them and the PAC as a whole. And they told us to vote for Naomi Snow and Lydia Berhanu as well. Throughout the entire situation, we both felt, and we both described this afterwards, we both felt super uncomfortable and pressured throughout the entire ordeal, because they were just looking over our phones at the entire time. And at a certain point, they offered to just take our phone and just vote for us. And that's what they did. We gave them our phones pretty reluctantly, and then they submitted it on our behalf. And I didn't even know who I voted for. And honestly, like, I feel like this was just not a fair process for all of the candidates involved. Because I don't think with us knowing the representation of who we even voted for, that makes for a very fair process.
Okay, thank you. Judicial, do we have any questions regarding the witness statements? Nothing? Okay. Thank you so much. We'll be hearing final statements from both sides now.
Thank you. The definition of consent is enthusiastic and informed consent, and as we've heard from the witness, that did not happen. I'd also ask if the candidates in question have any proof that they were not in the PAC group that day.
Wait, sorry, what?
Okay.
You're able to continue, sorry about that. Please.
And to reiterate, this is a serious violation. We know that 3 people had their phones taken. They did not consent to it, and their voting rights were stripped from them. That's the issue in this violation, and that's what we're pointing out. And we think it's a serious issue when other people are not allowed to vote and you get more than 1 vote. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm gonna let the respondents make their final statement. Judicial can ask other questions correspondingly, and then we will move on to the next complaint. The 2 people who started off in the scan can make their final statements if that's okay.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate the fact that we've been saying the whole time, like not just at Packer Hall, like throughout our campaigning process, we did not coerce or intimidate anybody into voting for us. Like we were just having conversations, talking to them, telling them about who we are, and we've kept it the same throughout. And even the people in question, I was at Packer Hall that day and it was Lydia. We have a schedule that we made for campaigning, and Packer Hall wasn't even listed. We just happened to be there and we were talking to people. There was a place Maya was supposed to be at that particular time, and we can give you that evidence. And additionally, I would like to tell the judicial board that a lot of this evidence, like what's in the text, is different from what's in the statement. Like that's why I don't know if, yeah, that's my final statement. We did not coerce anybody. We were just like practicing our right to free speech and just like having conversations and having.
I would like to say that the burden of proof falls on the accuser, especially when it's such an intimidating about voter intimidation. And if we're talking about proof, I do have text messages that I sent to the PAC group chat confirming that I was at center table at around 5:30. And I will send that in because that's approximately the time being used in the complaint form, around 5:30. And I would like the judicial board to take that into consideration, especially because the people that are there and the people that they're confirming does not add up. Thank you.
Yes.
So my question is to the witnesses, did they physically take the phones out of your hands, and then did you ask to get them back at any point?
Just a sec, Susan. We're getting them back in the room.
Okay, do you guys hear the question?
Yeah, so me and Bailey and then the other guy, we were never forced to give our phones back to them, but they did submit the votes on our behalf without us knowing, if that makes sense. Because I honestly, me and Bailey did not know who we voted for at the end of that entire ordeal.
Okay,
So
from what you said, you were not forced to give back your phones, or were you, did people take the phones from you? I'm confused on how you worded it.
sorry, I want to re-clarify this. I don't know what was said in the original statement they made, but basically we were never forced to give them our phones. They asked us to give them our phones for them to vote for us, but I wasn't expecting them to submit it like on our behalf, if that makes sense.
So clarifying, they never took they never took your phone, but you handed it to them voluntarily.
So
But they submitted it without your consent.
so they asked repeatedly. They said that it would be easier if we just hand them their phones, like if we wanted to, and they asked multiple times. So we just handed them their phones, so they could fill it out. We thought they would give it back to us so that we could submit it, but they just submitted it while they were holding the phones and then gave it back to us.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there other questions from judicial?
I know it's really redundant, but I want to ask one more time. Do you guys recall submitting any ballots at any time during this?
I mean, I don't know. Oh, sorry.
Wait, this isn't for you. I'm so sorry, but we are asking the respondents. I would also like to clarify that this is submitting a form for anyone, not just in this specific instance, because if there is proof provided otherwise that you did submit any form for anyone, that gives us grounds to disqualify you.
Did you submit for anybody? Anybody on your ticket submit for anybody at any point during the election?
I don't think, no. Because I can speak for no? Yeah, no.
Okay. And that's confirmed, not I don't think, but you know that no one did that? Yes. Okay, thank you. With final statements concluded, we are going to move on to the next complaint. Thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Next complaint number 10 has been filed by complainant Aiden Reeder against Naomi Snow, Nandana JB, Zoe Starlandis, Maya Luque Wu, Andrew Stanfield, Lydia Byrne-Hanu, and Peyton Sachs. Can the respondents come to the stand, please? The complainant is in regards to EPP Section 7, Heading 8, Clause 3. When the complainant is ready, you are able to make your opening statements. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's Aiden Reader again. So this is very similar in nature to.
Give me 1 second. If we could prevent all side conversations, just so it's clear on Zoom and just so judicial isn't distracted and neither the complainant or the respondents are distracted during this conversation. Thank you so much. Aiden, you can continue.
This is, as I was saying, this is very similar in nature to what we just spent a decent amount of time on, so I'm not really gonna pander into a lot of this. But it was just, I witnessed specifically the candidate Andrew Stanfield bring students over, and then while they were voting, I watched him look over their shoulder and point to various ones. I cannot say whether that was with the voters authorization, but I figured I would file it as well. And there were 3 other individuals, but the only 2 that I can remember for sure were at the time Peyton Sachs and Zoe. I don't know how to say your last name, so I'm sorry. But Linares. And then there was one other individual, but I don't know who it was, so I'm not going to go ahead and name that. But this took place in the quad at around 11 a.m. When I was walking back from tabling myself in Red Square. And then I saw the individuals again moved off the quad when I was walking to class. It was mostly different sector individuals, but by this time the rotation had gathered all of the people in the complaints. Again, I don't know if this was made with authorization, but I did see that they were looking over the shoulder of voters, and other candidate members were aware that they were. And then one last thing I would also like to add, that I was also made aware that they were encouraging people to vote for me and doing the same thing. This wasn't with my consent. I'm sure they meant well, but the thing is that if they are indeed found guilty of some sort, I want to make sure that it was known that I also may have gained some unfair support. So I just want to make sure that is also known. Thank you.
Thank you. The respondents can make their opening statements.
Andrew's on Zoom. I don't want to speak this.
Okay, yes, Andrew, if you want to make the opening statement for the respondents, you are free to do so now.
Yeah, gotcha. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. I apologize for the light Batman voice. I am very ill. But yeah, so we did not do anything with anybody's ballots without the explicit consent of folks. A lot of people found this form very, very confusing. I know personally, I had one of my friends put the highest number next to all candidates because they thought that that was how you voted for them. Folks had a lot of difficulties with this ballot. So what we were always super clear with folks is, hey, if you have any questions, if you have any like concerns, please, like, we're happy to help out. A lot of folks really liked our platform, kind of what we were running off of, but were unclear on who exactly to vote for. So they're like, okay, like, we like your ticket, we like your stance here, like, who's your candidate for this? I'd say, oh, it's that. I was not inserting myself in anyone's ballot without like their consent. There was no like there was no coercion here. This was simply just trying to help people vote and make sure that their voice was actually heard. I can also speak to the last thing that Aiden said, which was people voting for him. That was genuinely just folks were like, oh, like, I see that you don't have someone on your ticket for this one. Like, who do I vote for here? I know Aiden. I served in Senate with Aiden. I like Aiden. So I'd usually say, oh, I like Aiden, but like, you can vote for whoever. That was in no way intended to, coerce people into voting for Aiden. And I'll really just reiterate here. There's no coercion here. There's no like, oh, like, I'm going to come menacingly stand behind you and say vote for these people. It was genuinely just trying to make sure that people were able to vote, make sure that people weren't, spending like a lot of unnecessary effort trying to like, and confusing themselves with the form. So I understand how, from maybe an outward perspective and someone who wasn't, up close actually listening to the really good conversations we were having with folks, my proximity to a voter could appear concerning. But I can assure all of you that really it was honestly just trying to answer people's questions, make sure that folks were informed. I'll reiterate one more time, this was not at all a coercive process. And really, our goal really was just to make sure that folks were able to vote and knew who they were voting for.
Okay, thank you. Just point of personal inquiry for me, for Andrew specifically. When you say individuals asked who to vote for a specific position and there was no one from your voter ticket that was there, did you specifically say vote for Aiden, or did you say you can vote? I know Aiden, but you're able to vote for anyone. I would just like to know like what you said specifically, if you remember.
Yeah, so I mean, it was usually something along the lines of, hey, like, we don't have someone like on our ballot here. I know Aiden, I like Aiden, but obviously I'd recommend, informing yourselves on the candidates. I can't really speak to them, but just personally for me, it'd be Aiden, and I voted for Aiden.
Okay, thank you so much. Yes, you can.
That last segment of them voting for me, it's not particularly like a violation against them. It's not, I don't think that's anywhere in the EPP. It was just making it clear that if there was indeed some sort of needed punishment, I wanted to make sure that I also possibly may have benefited. So it's nothing really in the nature of like doing that.
Yeah, I guess I just want to point, I guess I want to walk you through that tabling session that morning. As it was the day that the voter, what was the not the pamphlets, the voter guide, thank you. Voter guide came out. So we did have 2 voter guides within within and on our tabling stand as well. So as the table was set up, it had our ticket name, the pack right here. It had a list of candidates, so it would say president, VP, director of programming, DDE, etc. And would have our names listed next to it. Then proceeding, there was on this side a QR code that would lead to vote.asu.org. And then there was like little flyers too with our names on them. Proceeding, if people would come up and say, oh, we would tend to bring people over by going, hey, have you voted in ASU elections? Usually it would be, no, what is ASU? Oh, well, let me tell you about ASU for a second. I personally would walk them through what ASU is, what the entities are, and the effect that we have on our student body. And then proceeding to talk about my personal platform and then our tickets platform as well. And then I personally remember this student came up and he goes, well, do you have any information about the other candidates? And I was like, oh yeah, we actually do. And we gave him a voter pamphlet or voter guide, and he sat right behind our booth for about 20 to 25 minutes reading through that. And then scanned the QR code that was on our thing, voted over to the side, and then left, and then said thank you. And so I want to reiterate that every single person that our ticket would bring over was always, hey, have you voted? And it was a yes, no, okay, great, let's participate in democracy. I want to advocate for democracy. That is, I don't anybody walking by heard me say.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
When you guys were campaigning, etc., on the quad,
yeah,
and people asked questions about other candidates, was your first response to give your own personal?
No, it was here are the voter guides, and then also refer them to the ASU election platform and say that everybody's platform is on the ASU.
Specifically, a point of inquiry to Andrew, did you give these individuals the option to look at the voters guide before you said you recommended Aiden? Just clarification.
Yeah, sorry. So just to make sure I'm clear on the questions, did I give folks the voters guide specifically before they voted for Aiden?
No, just did you offer the individuals that had questions about candidates the voter guide before you said, oh, I did Aiden for the Senate and personally I really like him, etc.?
Yeah, so we made sure that, that like folks were aware that like there was a lot more information available. We were, big on like the voters guide and things like that. Largely, I mean, what I was saying was, hey, obviously everyone who's running for this is super qualified and a really good candidate. I would go like over our whole platform and say, here's what we're about. We obviously think that we're the best candidates for you, but it's ranked choice voting for a reason. And we, of course, want you to make your decisions as best informed as you can. Again, like we think we're the best candidates for you, but everyone is a good candidate here. There's more information. Please find the information. If you want to vote now, obviously we're happy to help you, but no pressure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That is the only kind of inquiry I had. Are there any follow-up questions from Judicial? Any of you, do you need to make final statements or rebuttals? Yeah, if you're able to make final statements before we move on.
Just as general campaigning, I guess, conduct, it definitely would have been better if voters had questions for them to give them an example run through instead of using their votes. But as it does say, I don't know whether or not they were unauthorized. So while conduct wise, it was definitely not the best. Code wise, I can't say anything to that.
Okay, thank you so much. Andrew, you're free to go if you have a point of information.
I just had a brief rebuttal to that, if that's all
Oh,
right.
yes, and the rebuttal, you're totally okay to speak to that.
Yeah, I'd just like to really push back against the phrasing, choosing people's votes for them. I think that's really disingenuous and really misrepresents what our whole campaign and how we operate was about. We were not voting for people. We were not choosing people's votes for them. It was genuinely just, we all thought that we were the best candidates for board. And, we had a lot of really good conversations with folks, outlining what our platform was, kind of like what our ideas for UW was and things like that. If folks like that, and if that resonated with them, then we were obviously, there to support them in voting for us. But I mean, we weren't pressuring anybody to vote for us. We weren't, choosing anyone's votes for them. It was generally just trying to make sure that, people knew what we were about and people knew how to vote for us if they chose to, not choosing to vote for them.
Thank you so much. Do you have anything else to add?
Just a quick reminder that we do have the First Amendment right to endorse whoever we want. So I don't want to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Last point of information before we move on to the next complaint, please. Also, I would like to say again, if we could limit side conversations or anything that's not related to this, just to make sure that this goes smoothly and that people who are on the stand aren't distracted. Thank you so much.
Point of information, my name is Esther Himmelfarb. I use she, her pronouns. I just wanted to recognize Peyton's point to the tabling efforts in the quad. I know and witnessed additional tabling efforts, or sorry, not tabling efforts, campaigning efforts on Denny Field. And I personally saw Andrew and Maya both there. But I just wanted to put that out there, that tabling and doing so with the voters guide was just in that instance. I did not see any voter guides when they were on Denny Field. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. With that, we're going to be moving on to the next complaint. Thank you so much. Our next complaint is complaint number 12, filed by Francisco Dohena against Naomi Snow and Nandana Jagdeep. It goes against the HFS solicitation policy. If all of these individuals can come to the stand, that would be great. For everyone else's information, Christian Phil Flynn, who filed a complaint against Stephanie Mendoza, has decided to drop the complaint and is not here today, so the complaint will be dismissed. Oh. Okay, so sorry. We will be moving on to number 12 whenever the complainant is ready.
Yeah, hello, Francisco again. So a friend of mine messaged me about how his brother, I'll just read the message. Naomi and Nandana in the pack was giving Finn campaign materials and little cards while he was eating in center table. So my complaint was concerning the HFS solicitation policy and how, although there isn't specific language about like campaigning within like HFS dining hall facilities, I did think that this was prudent to campaigning with HFS. And if I can speak on like past like decisions and complaints from last year, there was a complaint against me and like my fellow candidates about accidentally like leaving campaign flyers within like center table as well, and that might have been dismissed, but that was like an accidental thing. But if they were purposefully campaigning within an HFS dining facility, I think that is more of a major complaint or action.
Okay, thank you. Will the respondents make their opening statements, please?
Yeah, first off, in the incident, it was just me and Nandana there. The statement that the pack was there, the rest of my ticket, I just think might have been misinterpreted or it's just not true. I don't think it's quite fair to bring up last year's jurisdiction, especially when it got dismissed. And it was about things being left unattended and not necessarily just campaigning in the dining halls. Lastly, too, I actually did read the HFS sales and solicitation policy, and it only states about residence halls. And so kind of the way I interpreted that was that we can campaign in the dining halls, I actually went to the Willow front desk and kind of asked, and they said it was okay. I honestly don't remember who that was or have proof of that, to be just transparent. But yeah, there's no kind of information on this saying that we can't campaign in there. And it wasn't out of like bad intention or anything. We were there like very briefly too. Yeah, thank you.
Do we have any points of inquiry from the Judicial Committee? Nothing?
So if there isn't a specific line that you believe this violates, what part of the spirit of the policy do you think it violates?
Just campaigning concerning like HFS facilities, and that was my big thing, and the basis of last year's precedent given of the flyers again. So that was my basis of this complaint.
Okay, thank you so much. If you two want to make final / closing statements, you're free to do so.
Yeah, again, just pretty strict to the point. There's nothing banning going to dining halls. We did talk to the Willow front desk beforehand. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. You two are, you all are free to see us. The next complaint, number 13, is filed by Jacob Gammon against Diane Snow, London Baby, City of Darhamu, and the Central and Nile Committee. Jacob, when you're ready, you can make your opening statements.
Right, I guess I'll start off by saying that this complaint also will corroborate a lot of the evidence provided earlier. The candidates listed violated EPP section 9(3)(c)(2)(6), and the
Fair campaign statement.
yes, I listed the fair campaign practices statement, but I recognized earlier that that wasn't something we could file against, but I think it still falls under the general code of ethics. If you look at the materials I provided, I'll read off 2 pieces of testimony. Both individuals are here today, and they might be available for questions if you have any, but I wanted to provide this in writing for you. My SAO advisor, Brendan Cheng, testified, okay, while it would be preferred I remain out of it, if you feel my testimony would add to the weight of the situation, then when you filed this complaint with Andrew's email, you can add me as a witness. All I would say is I saw Naomi with another individual I did not recognize, with this individual on their phone, and Naomi was looking at the phone and speaking to the individual. I cannot say what Naomi and this individual were talking about, what was on that phone, and what the manner of this interaction was about. I saw Andrew and Nandana from their ticket also present and nearby, and I'm aware that this is where they were campaigning the day, as Naomi later informed me that this was their location. Andrew Line also testified that while I was walking through the quad on Monday, April 16, 2024, I witnessed the unofficial ticket, the PAC, and one of their members, Andrew Stanfeld, assisting a voter with their ballot and in selecting those who they should choose for next year's board. They were also telling them not to mark people on the voting form, indicating that the no vote would be against the person. I wanted to list that that last part there, indicating that no vote would be against the person and would somehow provide a greater benefit to the candidate, is generally misinformation that honestly disenfranchise the voters who were affected by that statement, because they were not provided the opportunity to cast their ballot in a second, third, fourth round, which many of the races that we saw went to. So those voters were not able to participate in selecting their board of directors member. And I guess that's all I have for that right now.
The information that you just presented, the second part, the initial piece of evidence that you provided us, do we have the second part just read out?
I think that was forwarded in the email that I sent the complaint to, so I'm not sure if that was something Coop attached or you attached or not.
Okay, as long as it's been sent, thank you so much for consideration. The respondents can make their opening statements, please.
There's a lot of information in this, so I'm gonna try and kind of pinpoint that down. On Brendan's point, again, I know there's a lot of complaints just in this whole hearing about, like voter intimidation, but I want to emphasize that there's no actual one, like, solid facts to back it up. Our argument is the exact same, and that is that we were just campaigning, and telling people to vote and spreading the word. Yes, we're telling them to vote for us, but also we're candidates, that's all we can really do, part of the elections. Everything was consensual. Brendan said that he saw me talking to somebody with them being on their phone. That in itself, like, that's allowed. Like, that's not grounds to file a complaint. Both Andrew didn't actually talk to the person that we were talking to and see if it was consensual. Also, all of us understand how ranked choice voting works very well, and we're actually very careful about not providing misinformation. But when it actually comes down to it too, whoever they vote after marking us won, like, doesn't really impact us. So we would have had no reason at all to tell them to not people second or third. Yeah, I'll let Andrew speak on that too.
Yeah, to briefly just address the last part about ranked choice voting, I think one of the questions that I got the most about election day was, do I have to rank all the candidates? People often felt really inconvenienced by ranked choice voting. So while I was totally open all the time about people having the option to rank as many candidates as they want, about there being more information about candidates, never at any point did I or anyone on our ticket advise anyone to not rank candidates. We were just open that you only had to rank one candidate, but we did not advise anyone to only rank one candidate. It may seem like a small difference, but it's a really important difference. We were all aware of the importance and the necessity of ranked choice voting. Many people just already did not many folks just simply did not want to take the time. We advised them to, and we were very open about advising folks to inform themselves on candidates, as we've already testified. But we were completely open about the importance of ranked choice voting. We were also just open that it wasn't a requirement to vote.
Okay, thank you so much. Jacob, did you have a rebuttal?
I don't have a rebuttal yet, but I wanted to call the three members who've presented so far to ask a couple questions as witnesses. Andrew Stanhope, can you answer for us if you believe at any point during the elections you might have led a voter to believe that although they had the option to vote for as many candidates and they did not have to fill out all of the candidates as a rank on the ballot, did you ever indicate that they shouldn't, would be disadvantaged by, would benefit you personally by not doing so, or any other form of that would lead them to have reason not to vote other candidates other than for their own expediency?
No, I cannot think of a single example of me or anyone on our ticket doing anything of that sort. Genuinely just openness about how the election worked and that it wasn't required. But again, we never didn't advise it. We're always open that it was an option and ones that folks should take.
How about the other two?
Yeah, I'll echo what Andrew said. We were very open that you don't have to do it, but like, you can if you want. Yeah, I don't want to repeat his point too much and go in circles, but I echo what Andrew said.
Yeah, and I think my name was mentioned that I was like at the place where Naomi and Andrew were like talking to voters and like looking over the phone part and everything. We were like also advertising like our Instagram and stuff. So we were also like telling them, oh, if you follow us on Instagram, like we follow you back, like, you know, all of that stuff. So that's part of like what we were doing. We never advised anyone to like only vote for us. And we did tell them that if you know the other candidates, you should take the time to vote for them. And we had a voter's guide right up in the center of our table. We weren't like hiding it. It was like pretty visible. And we did encourage everybody to take their time to do their research too.
Okay, thank you so much. Are there any questions from the Judicial Committee?
Any questions? Even though my statement said I want to stay out of it as best I can. Point of information though. I do want to clarify that the only interaction I saw with the individual is Naomi. I was more like stating a factual thing. So like none and Andrew were behind doing whatever I cannot tell you, but I think it was more of just like I was just stating, hey, like this is what I saw. I want to make that clear.
I was just going to ask specifically what Brendan said at the end, what he saw, but thank you for answering that. With that, if you guys want to make final statements, you're free to do so, or we will move on to the next complaint.
I guess really quick, I also wanted to ask if either Brendan or Andrew had any further context about what led them to report what they saw and why that seemed to be something that should possibly bring a concern.
For further context, I only saw Andrew do this. I was just worried about sort of leading voters astray or like looking over people's. It just looked a little bit suspicious to me. I didn't see really any of the other candidates helping them out with that. I didn't hear exactly like go up and question or see anything, but I was just giving observations so that it could be further investigated by the committee and also to sort of ensure that we have a fair election. And this happened fairly early on, like on Monday of the election.
So just to clarify, you just saw them talking, you didn't see them like reach out, take the phone, touch the phone, or you didn't hear the conversation that was happening?
I did hear the conversation about the ranked choice voting, but it was sort of like if Jacob is the person, like they're there and it's like right next to here, like doing this, like pointing. I didn't see if it touched. That's what occurred.
Okay, thank you so much.
One last statement I'll say for this complaint in particular is that, again, this is just talking about me and Andrew. It doesn't make any sense to list Nandana, Lydia, and Maya on it. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. We will be moving on to the next complaint. Complaint number 14. This was filed by Francisco Dohena against Esther Mathar, Britannia Gethleman, Christian Flynn, Adams Fredman, Kim Ugagan, Maya Freeman, Sejal Carpenter, Pauline Olakali, and Bob Goldsmith. This was in relation to campaign advertising removal deadline and the HFS campaigning policy. So for them, we'll take the stand. And Francisco, you are free to make your opening statement whenever you see.
Yeah, okay. Hello, Francisco again. I'll just read the description of violation. So a poster advertising the list of candidates is still up. Oh, was still up. It's still up. In the Oak District Market past the campaign advertisements removal deadline. And that there is a poster in the HFS facility is also a violation with the HFS residential life campaigning policy solicitation as stated in the candidate and advocacy packet. But reading it over again, I will state that it's like, again, the HFS campaigning policy, I would discuss with HFS staff post materials with content related to promoting the campus OGW community program, school organization activity, or event in designated areas. So I don't know if you guys asked for permission before you put it up, but that was before this entire thing, so.
Thank you for bringing this up. I appreciate it. It was up to the deadline. I will admit we had forgotten to remove it from the DM prior or after the deadline of, I believe, Saturday afternoon was what was on the website. When it was me and Sejal that went to the district market. We asked permission from the store manager. We didn't really consider the fact that it's an HFS property because it is public. You don't have to be a student to access it. So that was not within consideration, but we did ask for permission from the manager. She allowed us and told us exactly where to place it. We placed it there, and it has since been removed.
Thank you so much.
When were you notified that the complaint was filed, that it was still out?
I believe Sunday when I can check.
I sent the complaint.
The complaint was filed on April 22nd, which I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Did you go remove the poster within 24 hours of receiving that complaint?
No, I moved to text it. I moved texting to text it.
Sorry, I was not aware of that.
No worries, thank you for clarifying.
So you guys were notified on Monday, but just removed the poster today. Do you guys have a reason for the?
I was supposed to take them down on Saturday. I fell ill, and that's why everyone else's schedules did not line up, and there was a miscommunication in our group chat, so that's why I got.
Francisco, to clarify, the complaint was filed against every single person that I mentioned, right?
Yes, because they're all listed on the poster.
Okay, so all of you were CC'd in the email, and all of you received the email? Okay, great, thank you. Any other questions? If you want to make your final statements or rebuttals right now. Would you like to make a final statement?
I would like, it was past the deadline and it was not within 24 hours that it was removed, so it actually is taken like rethinkable responsibility.
Thank you so much. We will be moving on to the next complaint. Complaint number 15 was filed by Maria Freeman and Robert Goldsmith against Naomi Snowden. Zoe Starland is Maya Luker, and Snowdell, Lydia Bernaldez, Peyton Sachs, and Molino. I would like to state that Professor Molino has provided us with an email statement that will be considered during our session, but we will be reading her email out after the respondents make their initial statements. Whenever the complainants see fit, if you have not come to the stand before, please just introduce yourselves and you can make your opening statements whenever you see fit.
Hello all, I'm Maria Freeman, and I'm filing a spirit violation against the PAC tickets candidates as well as affiliate Catherine Merlino. I've written, so forgive me if I'm looking down. On the Tuesday of ASUW's youth voting period, all candidates of the PAC ticket presented to the Arch 151 class at Kane Hall, with the class in question enrolling over 700 students. The evidence I've submitted to the committee is a clip of that day's Pinocchio recording that plays the PAC's presentation full. Considering that there was technical difficulties and the length of clip, I will quickly outline what I observed. While presenting to a class when authorized by the lecturer is allowed in campaigning, this presentation's conduct is not considered. The image they projected to this Kane lecture hall while presenting included a QR code and a list of just the PAC tickets candidates and their ran for positions. The QR code links to vote.is.org, whose landing page during that period directly led you to the online voting ballot form. The candidates tell you this. The candidates tell the students to pull out their phones and vote for their ticket on the spot. Mind you, no candidates outside of the PAC's tickets are acknowledged to also be running, and the rank-based structure of the voting system is omitted from discussion. While not a violation, this goes against the EPP's Fair Campaign Practice Agreement in Section 2, subsection 4, which states, I will uphold the right of every qualified candidate to free and equal participation in the election process. I will conduct my campaign in a way that does not impact the accessibility and fairness of the election process. It should be noted that the PAC ticket was stressing the importance of filing the ballot right then and there. In a show of support, Professor Molino then proclaims, seriously, everyone get out your phones right now, I'll give you extra credit. While she does quietly attempt to alleviate the seriousness of such a claim, the students in Kane 130 were already quite excited for such an alluring incentive. This is in violation of the EPP Section 6, subsection 8H, where no candidate nor affiliate may directly or, to quote, directly or indirectly offer any bribe, reward, or anything of a fair market value greater than $1 to a voter in an attempt to change or persuade any student's voting decision. The PAC in its entirety did not make any inclination to condemning such an act, once again acting in a manner against a fair campaign practices statement. Professor Molino continues to exacerbate the Kane lecture's coercive environment, prompting the tickets candidates to move through the seats, through the seating in hopes for them to take out their phone. Candidates are held responsible to the actions of their affiliates, and considering the undemocratic conduct of the presentation, the full PAC ticket is liable to the violations presented.
through my witnesses, I will substantiate the claim of Professor Molino being an affiliate to the PAC's ticket candidates and why the severe violation must be considered.
Thank you so much. The respondents can now make their opening statements. After you make your opening statements, I will be reading Professor Molino's statement.
Okay, I'm Peyton. And so we did go into Kane 130 that day to ARC 151, if it was. And we did put our list of names on this screen, and there was a QR code that was live to the voting. We did each individually go by our names and our position, and then I believe Nandana decided to talk about our campaign platform and what our ticket was about. We did encourage people to vote. We were like, yeah, make your voice heard and participate in democracy is how I believe that it was phrased via, I believe, me. And it was not, I will say, like, we did not outline other candidates. Like, I will agree with that. However, it was a campaign platform for our ticket. There was no, when given the mic back to Professor Merlino, she did say, I will, seriously, right now, get out and vote. You don't have to vote for them, but seriously, get out and vote. Whip out your phones right now. In regards to the going through the aisles, we had just came from tabling, so we did have like a little bucket of candy with a few candy bracelets as well. And in that, she said, yeah, they also have some candy. So those sitting in the front, if you want, like, you can have some. So I proceeded to go to one side of the room and give out like a Jolly Rancher or two. I gave a candy bracelet to somebody sitting in front. And Lydia also gave them some candy to like some people. And I believe like Lydia also shook somebody's hand. It was never encouraged for people to move closer to vote. Nor was it encouraged that they would receive anything tangible other than that brief slide-by comment that I know in her statement this is Merlino talked about. So thank you.
I will now be reading Professor Molino's statement. This is quite long, so just a heads up. Dear ASUW Judiciary Committee, this is in response to the election complaint submitted by Christian Bloom and Maya Hartzell regarding 7 students who presented their candidacy in my Architecture 151 class on April 16th, 2024. First of all, please know that I respect the rights of students to initiate a complaint if they feel wronged or feel something has unjustly occurred during the election period. In this case, I would like to submit my response to the complaint. As I understand it, the complaints directed at me were in 2 parts. First, in that I offered extra credit to whoever voted at that moment. My response is as follows. 1. I have taught this class for 25 years and often have announcements including candidates come through to speak to the large student body present. This was my second candidate this quarter. I have noticed, especially post-pandemic, that inattention, talking, and disrespect the students have for their peers who are up speaking to their candidacy. In that context, I did try to encourage students to engage in the voting process. I asked how many students had voted in the past and saw just a few hands. I encouraged and have always encouraged students to vote. I did the same in the previous presentation. That said, it is true I did, in a very joking manner, say that I would offer extra credit, but I did this in a way I felt was not serious. I often make bad jokes, so I think students understand my personality after 4 weeks. To be clear, I offered no specifics following the comment, such as points or how to get extra credit, nor supplied a tangible way of gathering student information of those voting to offer extra credit, such as creating a place on Canvas where all grades are gathered. So I can't imagine that anyone believed that this was real or true to offer. I have no other indication from emails or through Canvas that anyone felt that this was a real offer. I was trying to encourage students to engage in the voting process, which is historically very low. That said, I regret saying this, as I would never want anyone to believe I would offer extra credit for anything outside of academic context, which I would never do and never have. 2, I clearly said in class that the QR code was not for the students speaking, and additionally emphasize that they should vote for anyone they support. I believe I said this more than once, as did the candidates themselves. 3, I tell all my student speakers to go up and down the aisle to hand out information if they bring materials with them. If they had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with pressuring students to vote. I sincerely hope this matter is resolved amicably. I wish all the best. And that is a conclusion of their statement. If the complainant wants to make a rebuttal.
I would for some of the items in question. I will agree that she did say, you don't have to vote for them. It's not a link to them. However, I would say based on the environment, and the only ticket or candidates listed on the screen, the projector of 700 person lecture hall, and the extra credit is emphasized on doing it right that instant. There is a pressure within the environment that would feel coercive in nature for those students to then do it, even if it was in a joking manner, even if it was maybe not really taken like particularly seriously by all students. There was definitely if you watch the program uptick and in kind of the promotion, and I also have eyewitness statements from a person at that class who did mention a similar thing. I will also like to rebuttal the aspect of her going up and down the aisles and prompting this. The quotation that I have is really saying, go up and down the aisle, maybe someone will pull out their thumbs. And so while it's not necessarily indicative of particularly coercing people to vote for them right at that instant, it is applying pressure to the individuals in that lecture hall to vote at that moment. They only have a fraction of the candidates available on the screen.
Point of inquiry, during a presentation, was any link to the voter guide provided for the class to see other individuals?
It was the ASUW link. So whatever that link, like vote.asuw.org led to, that's what they were provided. So
Okay.
yeah.
So it wasn't just a link to vote, it was the ASUW website.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to touch on. One, the QR code led to vote.acuw.org, which does not prompt people to the ballot. It just prompts people to the EAC webpage, which then students who are interested in can go and read through the candidate platforms themselves. But I also wanted to say that none of us walked up and down the aisles. The only person that walked up an aisle was me. And I walked up to an aisle to talk to one student in particular because he had raised his hand and asked us a question about getting a Chipotle at the school. And I went up to him and I said, that's a really good question. What's your name? Shook his hand. And he said, my name is X. And I said, my name is Lydia. And then I said, you should follow me on Instagram. I'd love to talk to you about that. And we did not talk about voting at all. I just said, that's feasible. As Naomi also said on stage, that's something that's feasible. It's a stretch, but it's feasible. And so obviously once elected, we would have loved to continue with that student. So I just said, follow me on Instagram. Yeah.
Thank you. Point of inquiry for the complainant. The witnesses who specifically were in this architecture 151 class, did they ask the teacher for extra credit? Was it posted online? If they assumed that they would get extra credit, did they ask the teacher after class?
She did not, because she was uncomfortable by the offer on the first place. So to seek out that item particularly. I can also distribute some copies to you guys. My fellow complainant has a rebuttal.
Okay, yeah.
Can we move back right now?
I mean, I was just asking a question of any of the board.
Was there another form of rebuttal? My apologies.
Okay, thank you so much. And then another inquiry for the class recording.
We can check this.
For the recording of the class, this is on Panopto and it's only accessible to the students in a specific class.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, it is. I can clarify that. The witness statement that I just provided, she was the one who screen recorded on her computer to then distribute. While I recognize it's accessible for those members in class only, 700 other students have access to the same recording. So,
okay.
So, did you guys, who asked for permission? And when did you guys get permission? And how did you guys get all of it put together?
Yep.
So I reached out via email. I don't know the exact dates. I can go through and find out. All I can confirm say that email has to speak in the past. Like I got permission and then we came as a ticket, just kind of talk and just campaign, right? All we can do as candidates. Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, was it like? Yeah, okay, yeah, no, that's fine. And then, you've seen the video? So this, and do you agree that there wasn't 700 students in there? I'd say, well, the Panopto recording doesn't exactly show all the seating arrangements there. I'm sure not 700 students were there, but even if 50% of people attended and went onto the Panopto recording to watch for later, there would still be.
Point of information, in the Kane Hall, there are 2 floors.
Yep.
That people can be on, just so everyone knows. You can continue.
I also like to mention, considering that this extra credit is essentially an incentive, I'd say over $1. Even if one student voted because of the incentive, this would be a violation, which is why we fined.
I was just gonna say, in your opinion, how do you think that the professor would know if someone specifically voted? And she did say she was kidding, right?
Yes, I would like to fully admit that she does say, kind of soon right after, that it's like she doesn't know about the feasibility of actually being able to verify who submitted the ballot in terms of that. However, that was in a much quieter tone, kind of away from the microphone as well. And considering that statement already kind of created this heightened energy within the students in that lecture hall.
Can you hear it in the recording?
You can hear a slight uptick. You can hear it in the recording.
Does it show up on the captions?
I'm not particularly sure.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, you can continue. Sorry.
Also, did she explicitly say in the recording that that's a joke? Because having to infer from tone, the professor, with all due respect, there's 700 students that could have possibly watched that recording. It's not up to her interpretation, it's up to 700 other students' interpretation.
Yes.
I just wanted to add that she did say, I wanted to say that we never asked for her to offer extra credit. And I also wanted to say that when she said she was offering extra credit, she did say, I will give you extra credit. You don't have to vote for them, but vote. I will give you extra credit. And then I also wanted to. I'd like to just say they said inferring that it was going to be there, but they're also inferring that they voted for us.
When you say there, could you repeat exactly who said what?
I believe Bob. They said that inferring that they will get extra credit, they're also inferring that they're voting for us, even though the professor stated you do not have to vote for that. And sorry, this is the last thing I'll add. I just wanted to say that now that it's spring quarter, I'm a second year. Even if I was a first year, one benefit of being in college is that you have very adult relationships with professors, and we're able to just simply converse like normal people, not with that relationship like within that hierarchy kind of thing. And I've had plenty of professors who joke around about giving extra credit. In my recent class, professor joked around about giving extra credit if we use like the word "ain't it" in our test, and like we all knew she was joking. We knew that it wasn't meant. It doesn't hold any like credibility, and especially with voting, she would have to have made an assignment regarding that, saying, "Did you vote?" and some type of proof. Like it was clearly.
No, about that, and she said that in her witness statement as well. I would like to ask if the complainants can play the recording right now. Because
We're working on it.
Oh, are we working on
Ellie, please continue.
I remember. We have some questions from the boards. You guys.
First, or do you guys want to ask questions first?
Yes.
I do. I'm gonna ask my question really quick. Why did you email this specific professor? Was it a focused email to just this professor or to multiple different professors?
And to add on, before you answer that, did you present at any other classes or classrooms? Was it just this one?
Honestly, it was kind of random that I reached out. I think I just had like friends who talked about it recently, and I was like, oh, I'll look up architectural if you want to reach out to the professor to talk, which we have every right to do and we're allowed to do. I want to clarify that. We spoke on Monday, I believe, to Site 210, with again permission, and it's a very common practice that's been done in the past. And then again to Architecture 151, again, just campaigning, spreading the word of elections and who we are. Yeah, does that answer your question? Yes, thank you so much.
Also, I'd like to respond because Maya mentioned my name directly.
Yes.
Inferring that a student in the audience and in that class might have voted for the candidates in question, I'd say is not hard to come to because it's a little too convenient that the professor said, maybe in a joking manner, said to 700 students that you'll get extra credit if you vote, and the names of all of these candidates were on the screen at that time. One might take that as an endorsement.
And I'll give you more information as well. Regardless of whether or not it was a joke or not, I feel like with something that's so important, such as these elections, representing over 50,000 students, I don't think the joke should have been more to that all. I also think that with she even mentioned in her thing as well that this was like low voter turnout. So obviously, if she's having people on there presenting the past QR code right to vote.asu.org, she must know that people are not making informed decisions. Otherwise, they would be getting they would be participating more in elections. I would also argue too that yes, even when ourselves, me and Christian Flynn, we went to that same professor and presented weeks prior. This was something that I was affiliated with this professor. I did take ARC 151, which is the reason why I did reach out. We also did reach out to other professors. We probably had over, I want to say half a dozen or more lecture talks that we did have. None of them were during voting. I would also say too that yes, maybe you guys did go obviously to give you guys this presentation, but nowhere in there when she was talking, and she said you have extra credit, none of you guys intervened to stop it. Which I mean, of course, that's just speculation.
What, okay, to that point, what are they gonna do?
Point of inquiry, what you presented at ARC 151, did the professor offer extra credit?
No.
Is
And
there a
also-
recording of that lecture?
There is a recording of the lecture as well. And I would also argue too that, like you said, that if she claims in as well that she always gives out, the opportunity for people to come up with apps and give out things. Yes, we've never had something with us, but at the same time, she never asked that question.
Point of inquiry. I will ask.
And I guess like to answer your question as well, like you said, like what could they do about that? Right. And maybe they could have done nothing in that moment to stop it, but I feel like also they were still going up. I mean, they were still talking in that situation. They did not switch over to class lecture time. So I think that they could have gone back and said, you know what, guys, you guys can make an informed decision. You can check out all the rest of the candidates. So maybe they could have changed it in that moment, but they could have definitely as well.
Is this complaint against that ticket or is it against the professor? Are you saying that they asked the teacher to give them extra credit?
No, I don't think, and I'm not saying that they did ask them to give extra credit because I can't prove that as well. So it's nothing to fault for that. But I do think that it is the job and responsibility to go back and do that, I guess.
So once again, are you filing the complaint against the professor?
No, well, yes.
Are you to?
I filed the complaint with the help of, I filed the complaint against Professor Catherine Molino as considering her as an affiliate to the candidates I was presenting based on her supportive treatment towards the presentation. It did seem very much in support of the ticket in its entirety. And so when it feels almost like an endorsement when you're showing this, and we can show this with the comparing and contrasting versus the neutrality of our presentation weeks prior, which actually my first witness, Christian Flynn, will attest to that and prove to the fact that you would be looking as such as an affiliate. I put her in the violation complaint form so that I can better substantiate and argue why the violation is so severe.
Okay. So my question is, are you complaining about the professor? Are you complaining that they campaigned? Are you complaining that, like, which part of this is the complaint?
I am complaining against the ticket candidates not saying anything against what she said. And that is particularly because the candidate is responsible for any affiliates actions during the wall campaigning. And so for her to be, if she's to be considered an affiliate, which will try to prove with my witness, Kristen Flynn, they should have been able to easily denounce what she just said or renounce it immediately as stated in the fair campaign practices statement. And while I acknowledge that it's non-binding, non-violation, there is also section 9 in violations and subsection 9 where it says in all instances, the actions of a candidate's affiliate constitute the action of the candidate. And then so to not immediately renounce this and not immediately add clarity that this was a joke and not to be taken seriously and to please make an educated vote, which I know, I guess they're saying you can obviously tell that there's joke as a person who's autistic. I have a struggle with understanding social interpretations, and I'm sure that out of the 700-person lecture hall, there must have been at least one person who would have not been able to have received that.
Point of inquiry, although maybe you felt as though it was uncomfortable to ask the professor to renounce that statement right in the moment, did you ever reach out to the professor after class or after the complaint was filed against you to ask to email the students and state that there will be no extra credit, or ask the professor to explain what she said? Sure. We did reach out after the complaint was filed, and as mentioned in her statement, like no student came to her and asked those extra credit. She gave no tangible thing for extra credit. But she also explicitly, I want to remind everybody, never said to vote for us, just extra credit for voting in general. So kind of with that line of reasoning, if somebody else also presented in the classroom, you can use the same logic that if they vote whoever they voted for, it benefits from that extra credit. And also she has the right to do whatever she wants to her class. She has freedom of speech. I think we're kind of losing sight of that right now. She's not affiliated with elections at all. Which is why we ask clarifying questions about who the complainant was specifically discussing, if you wanted to continue.
Yeah, I guess it's just more referencing towards the video. So I guess what I have to say will be shown in the video, but I guess I could clarify it afterwards.
What was the specific part that you just mentioned about affiliates?
This is in
just the section
9 subsection.
And I do want to clarify that she is not an affiliate of our campaign. Like she was never a registered endorsement did not occur. She was not a direct affiliate of our campaign.
Just point of inquiry before we play the video. She did allow you guys to present your campaign and your voter ticket at her class, right?
We did have a presentation weeks before the polling period opened, and that was more about the general election process and to engage with the student body more. And once again, with my testimony from Christopher Glenn, he will attest to the neutrality of our presentation that was presented. There was the professor gave no general support of us. She just supported the idea of voting in general and reference to the national elections as well. But in this one, she was referencing more directly to this.
Yeah, and can I ask Adam, actually, was the presentation in this class that you guys gave, was it like the one that you gave in our class?
Very similar, or was it a different? Sorry.
I'd like to continue off of Maria's point that
Just real quick, I want to ask this question.
It was identical, except for the fact that we just fixed, because ours was very basic and simplistic. We went back and we added color, but it should have been the exact same.
Thank you.
and I want to go off of what Maria said. There was no offer of extra credit when we presented. There was an offer with everybody's names on the screen in that situation. And whether or not one student or all 700 voted because of that, and they were misled by the extra credit, the candidates never took any action to clarify that that would be not allowed under the EPP, because the EPP is very clear about offering incentives in voting.
Okay. Before we hear what you have to say, I would like to play the video.
Would you like me to send the piece presentations?
I just have a point of clarification for Jacob on an EAC clarification. how does the EAC like specifically define a candidate affiliate?
I have the relevant language to that. It's in section one. It's on page 3, but if you would like to read that out again, that would be great.
All right, the EPP in section 1, subsection 1A, like Maria said, an affiliate means any individual or group who is connected to and acts in support of a candidate or ballot measure.
I would like to point that again through my witness testimonies and in comparison to the presentations, there is validity to claiming her as an affiliate based on the difference of support acknowledged. The classmates, the students that who have been attending these classes would have been able to see this difference and then would have viewed this as such in the support.
And I will add just really quickly, I wasn't really gonna bring it up, but you did bring it up as well. You said like in our class, did you show the exact same slides? And I think that maybe you could even attest to this as well, is I think that one of the things after I was giving the presentation, you said, oh yeah, I have friends on the People's Voice ticket. And nowhere in that did I say you cannot go check them out. So I encourage you guys to go check them out as well. Just something hopefully you remember as well. Because I did promote other tickets as well, besides ours.
I would like to just stop all questions and information until we're done with this video. Thank you so much.
Please help with me that the sound works. We did not hope enough. Does it? Oh. Oh, okay, sorry. I think that's the end of that.
Brendan, I know in our discussions, we talked about how professors aren't allowed to provide allotted time for voting during class. They can only inform students of voting. Do you know what the definition of like allotted time is? And
Oh, gotcha.
what would constitute campaigning during that allotted time?
Can you repeat that again? I'm sorry, I got distracted.
I think I remember you saying something about if professors provide allotted time for voting, people can't be campaigning during that like mandated time. Do you know if that is constituted just by verbal?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, there is definitely like a difference between like, presenting in the classroom and then like the professor says you don't get up and vote versus like, okay, now we're voting and then the candidates are going around like voting. Is that what you're asking? Like the clarification
Yeah,
for?
I guess so.
Okay, because like if the professors do like create like a basically a polling like moment, then that's yes, I guess. I don't know. I hope that
Yeah, it
answers
just
what you're
appeared
looking
to
for.
me that there was probably several minutes at this point where no content was being provided after the presenters had left the stage. So it was left open for polling to occur, and their poster was left on screen as a method of campaigning, which
If you're asking me to define that, I'm not. It's more like I'm just trying to provide a clarification.
okay.
Point of inquiry, how long did the professor say you could present? Was it just like, oh, just present before lecture starts?
Yeah, she didn't really give us a specific timing at all. It was in the moment, and that was what it was. And so it continued as long as she had it go on for. We didn't ask her to create like a couple minutes for voting. All we asked was to present our name and our platform and then put that up on the board. But we did not ask for any specific time allotting or polling, anything like that. That was all on her own volition, and as a professor, it is within her rights to do so.
So let's bring it back again. The complaint is the professor being an affiliate. Is that what your complaint is?
The complaint is the professor conducting herself as an affiliate, and in such doing so, the candidates of the PAC ticket hold the responsibility of condemning.
Which part of it, of any of that, do you feel directly associates her as an affiliate?
I'd say the numerous points of support.
I would say a couple things on the offer of extra credit, and then the endorsement. Some might take it as the idea of Chipotle.
But
What?
Point of inquiry, did she particularly say that she was endorsing them? Because I'm pretty sure for endorsements, you have to state that. Either the candidates have to say that they're endorsed by someone.
Right, agreed. However, the offering of, it's not also just an endorsement, it's also about the incentive of extra credit while voting possibly for the PAC.
I move we end consideration of this matter. Thank you for everything provided, but we will allow final statements. And if you need to add on anything else in these final statements, you're free to do so. Give me a second. I think regardless of intent, Professor Molino's behavioral conduct in hosting the PAC's presentation demonstrated support for the tickets candidates to 700 students and in the architecture 151. She could then be considered as an affiliate to these 7 candidates under the EPP's definition in Section 1, subsection 1A, in conjunction with Section 9 and subsection 9, which states in all instances, the actions of a candidate's affiliates constitutes the action of the candidate. Professor Molino's additional comments. Yeah. Ooh, where am I? It's like too many. Oh, goodness. Here. Additional comments to my apologies. This is I did not staple this. Additional comments. Can you find this for me, please? Thank you. This is why you should number your pages. Additional comments on giving extra credit, but not one PAC candidate rejecting it makes the entire ticket liable to the present violation against them. After corroborating the campaigning candidates hold additional responsibility for an affiliate's actions, this case proves that the PAC ticket in its entirety has failed to uphold the Fair Campaign Practices Agreement and is subject to the severe violation of the EPP Section 6, subsection 8H. The classification of violation as severe is validated in Section 9, subsection 3CII5. The listed examples of such a classification include the exact election policy I listed to be in violation on my complaint form. It's common understanding that any form of bribery, even in the form of extra credit, is a corrupt activity that threatens to undermine the integrity of an institution. Professor Merlino's subsequent attempts to underplay her supportive statement, going as far as proclaiming democracy, remains insufficient and even unseemly when the projector continues to show only the PAC's candidates and the urgency to vote is still emphasized. Fair to free? Not to me. Furthermore, any plea of ignorance and conduct from this ticket is both, I'd say, laughable and deceitful. Sorry, I was planning ahead of time to
have this.
You have as much time as you need to make your final statements. Don't feel as though you have to rush. I just didn't want to keep going back and forth.
I appreciate that. Thank you. With the PAC consisting of multiple candidates who've worked in ASU Dub, some being current members of the board, and with its presidential nominee having gone through 3 election cycles, this ticket knows what's acceptable behavior. To claim otherwise would only further call into question the fit for candidacy. To the Judicial Committee and ASU Dub board, I implore you to sincerely consider the precedents to be made with this decision, precedents beyond the judicial. Presentation that this complaint considers displays a coercive treatment of the student body that these candidates hope to represent. I'm sure ASU Dub knows just how the student body feels towards their representative government. This is a moment where we can prove our commitment to the democratic principles that protect student voices and reinstill our faith in our institution's capability to do so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mine's like hopefully brief and short, hopefully I'm frustrating this, but yeah, I think that one of the things too, like even though like we saw the video that she did retract her statement, me personally, and maybe I'm biased in this as well, I think the damage is already done. I feel like after you already give as incentive, I feel like it's really hard to take away that incentive. I feel like maybe in the video you did see certain people taking out their phones. So my impression from that video shows that people wanted to get the credit to any means possible. I mean, maybe I'm biased in this situation as well, but it was week 4, and I know that some people do have midterms on that time of the week. I would say that that's one of those things where if you don't have a lot of time to make this decision and look up, other candidates and their ballots as well, then I feel like if I were to see something like a QR code of where to go to vote and I saw your credit, I would put the 2 things together that, I should look these people, and especially, I mean, that's just maybe speculation as well. I'll move on to this next point too. I'll go ahead. But the other second point as well is I think Andrew said it on there as well, is that a big question that he was getting on voting period as well is that people were uninformed, they didn't know how to go to vote. And I would say on there as well, that in the video, there was no directions on where to go to find other candidate measures or ballots as well. I would say that it was just vote.asu.org, and the biggest thing that you see on there is a link to click on the vote. And you have to click on the drop-down menu in order to find out where to find the candidate measures. So that's what I would say.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm not gonna describe anything more that went on in that video because there's just no need to do that. Go back and forth. However, as a political candidate, you have the right to campaign. And I stand by us putting out our platform and putting out our names from a political campaign stand. However, I do believe that it was oversight to not provide other information on other candidates. However, in campaigning, when you are campaigning for your voice to be heard and your name to be voted, that is what you do. So I can say that I understand the frustration, but that is a political campaign. And I do believe that was a fair and honest campaign. We had no affiliate with Professor Merlino and did not ask her for any of this extra credit to be provided, nor do I think in her eyes also that it was a valid statement. I also just want to, reiterate the importance of just like how slippery of a slope this could become, and how easily things can get misconstrued. And I don't believe that that was ever an intention was to coerce voters. There's a reason why it was not a direct exact link to the voting link. You still have to go through vote.asu.org. Again, I'm sorry that we did not give the other candidates platforms. That will not happen again. But yeah, that's what I want to say.
We agree. You said at previous campaigning efforts, you were offering voters guides.
Yes.
Was there a reason you didn't bring voters guides to this specific presentation, or did you just not have them at the time that you presented them after?
Yeah.
Presentations.
Yeah, so the voter guides weren't printed, and I don't know if you can speak on this too, but the voter guides weren't printed until I believe it was like Tuesday, and I didn't have them until I believe midday Tuesday. Yeah, so there's no, but also the vote link, vote.asu.org, it has it there. Yeah.
I was just wondering. Thank you. Do we have any other
Quick point of inquiry. I wanted to make it known that
You can only make.
information, sorry. Wanted to make it known that the EAC did provide all candidates, I believe on Sunday before voting opened, with a slide that we produced that was unbiased, apolitical, and gave general information, including the QR code to our website and information about how to receive more knowledge about voting and inform yourself. So there was an alternative that candidates chose against using in their presentation.
Point of inquiry, to go off of what Jacob just said, was there a reason you didn't use the resource that EAC provided you with? And in addition, for all of your presentations, is there a script that you follow? Or is it just whatever you feel like saying?
Yeah, it's kind of whatever, yeah, Andrew does it up there as well. No, there's no script that is followed, but when the presentations were given, as a political candidate, it was in our, interest to campaign, and that is what it was. It wasn't anything to, coerce voters. It is to get people to vote. And when you are a political candidate and you want people to vote for you, you get your name out there. So that is what it was. It was not political coercion or voter intimidation. It was a matter of these are people that are running, and we are in our community, and that is what a political candidate does.
Okay, thank you. Andrew, you were free to add your information.
Can I just add something on to that statement briefly?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, that was a yes?
Yeah.
Perfect. I just feel the need to remind folks that the voter's guide and information on other candidates is available on vote.asudub.org, which we did link to. The assumption that we were simply throwing folks into the dark without information on anyone but us is just simply untrue and fairly malicious. We completely have the right to campaign for ourselves and advertise for ourselves. But information on other candidates was available and clearly was usable for potential voters in that class. The assumption that people in that class would have felt pressured to vote for us via the extra credit is just simply impossible to substantiate. We simply linked them to the website, to the ballot, and to all the information they needed, but we completely have the right to tell them why we think they should vote for us.
Okay, thank you so much.
Quick point of clarification.
Yes, but I'm going to just ask a question really quick, and you can respond and add what else you wanted to say. For your presentation, Professor Merlino's class lecture, do you have the slides that you presented, and would you be okay with sending that to us?
We do. We have a kind of a uniform slide, and I'm happy to send it. I've already submitted the turn off the recording.
Yeah,
guys, I also have that. In terms of, I just wanted to clarify on the vote.asudub.org site. It took you to the landing page, the vote.asudub.org. That's correct. However, it's clear that on the landing page, the ballot form is the most emphasized part. And it's the first thing that you start to notice. And then if you're also adding the time pressure of voting right now, yes, sure, there's a voter's guide right there, but are you going to read every single candidate's platforms within that time span? That's not going to be feasible. So that's what's okay.
Okay, thank you so much. And then point of information. And then I'm going to hear Rohini and Nandana, and then we're going to move on to the next complaint.
This is kind of also a reiteration of a question that was previously asked that Jacob Gannon, I believe, brought up. But there wasn't a direct answer as to why, because the EAC did send out that infographic, and I feel like the answer that was given did not answer the question. So I wanted to ask the candidates why exactly they did not choose to use that during the presentation.
I don't think you can ask them.
Can they elaborate on that?
That's a point of inquiry. It's another inquiry, and I feel as though they already answered to the best of their ability. That's all they have to say. So no worries. Nandana, what did you have to say? Yeah, I just wanted to quickly respond to your thing about only having our names up there. It is well within our rights, like we already mentioned, to campaign for ourselves. And the link, they said that it takes you to the page where it says vote now. It's really out of our control about what's on the EAC homepage. We can only really direct them to the EAC homepage, and what's on there is kind of out of our control. And the argument that they are going to be coerced to voting for us right then because that's the only information available to them, I think is highly speculative. I'm wondering, why couldn't you create a QR code for the voter side? Because there's a PDF link on vote.acw. So if you were able, I was just wondering, and then also with the infographic, if you could reiterate why you weren't able to print that out, I was just wondering, as well as this also.
Okay.
So in the email that we sent out, he didn't say that it was required to show that in classrooms, just that like graphic design's hard for some people, like I have a hard time with it, that we can use it. It was never stated that we need to use it or that we even are like we can't use our own personal stuff. The vote.asg link is the link to all elections. So to not like overcomplicate it and have them scanning a bunch of things, we had just one link to the overall website that also lists other candidates' platforms.
Again, I like will reiterate that we did go to talk about our campaign platform. We were political candidates advocating for ourselves. And so it was never a malicious against another ticket it was never anything against, it was for ourselves, which is, I think, what you do in a political election. And so, yeah, that's all that's, I don't know how to provide more clarification.
No, yeah, I just wanted to reiterate for those who were confused.
Thank you, baby.
Sorry, I just have one more point of information to clarify.
I'm sorry. Back to Jacob, last thing, and then we will be moving on.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to also make it be known that the EAC does have a link tree, which is a page that has both the ballot itself, the voter's guide, a link to the full text of the ballot measure, which was also important for people to vote on, as well as several other resources. So that was a link that could have been provided instead.
Okay. Thank you so much. No worries. I would just like to reiterate that the Judicial Committee is not taking sides during this. We are trying to be as neutral as possible and be as understanding as we can for both sides. We do understand everyone's frustrations, and we do understand that there are emotions attached, but we are doing our best with what we are given right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next complaint is complaint number 16, filed by Rohini Kilaru against Zoe Southerndies, Andrew Sandfeld, Naomi Snow, and Maya Lukuluku. And this goes directly with EPP section 7.8C. Okay, whenever you are ready, you can start your statement.
All right. On April 17th, when I was walking towards Red Square, I saw the bottom of 4 people tabling together as a group, like in the area between like the path towards Red Square. And I saw that Zoe Stellanidis was looking over someone's shoulder and pointing things out as they're voting. I also took a video, which has been provided along with a couple of photos. Off to the side, I saw Andrew Stanfield, Maya Lukuluku, and so seeing the video, who were off to the side. They did not interfere or seem to stop Zoe from like pointing out stuff to the individual that was in the photo as they're pointing out looking over their shoulder. And then later, after the video, I later saw the 3 of them engaging in similar behavior as well. That's the general gist of it.
Okay, we will be watching or we're presenting the video now, and then we will move on to the respondent.
Okay, thank you. If the respondents can make their opening statement now. With that, I'm gonna go very to the point on this. You can see the girl clearly had her body and phone pointed and turned towards Zoe. This was clearly consensual. I know Zoe's on Zoom and she can speak for this incident too, but she did have consent. We are allowed to help them with their form when authorized. This was authorized. I don't want to drag this out into a 20-minute complaint. Onto your point that we were both standing there doing nothing. You're a candidate too. Easy does not recognize tickets. You could have said something too if you really thought that it was a violation. It's not really fair to not list us in this complaint as well. Also this complaint, like it was consensual. I'll let Zoe speak, but
yeah. First I want to say I feel very uncomfortable that you videoed me. You could have come up if you really thought it was a serious issue, but I did have full consent. In fact,
Zoe, I'm so sorry. I want to reiterate something we haven't been kind of doing this meeting is talking to each other. Make sure that you guys are talking to us, just because that's going to automatically de-escalate. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, of course.
Continue, Zoe.
Okay, so I'm yeah. I'm talking to you guys when I say that that does make me feel uncomfortable as I was adhering to all the rules. This girl in question, as well as many others, had asked a question about the form, and I was simply helping her. I had full consent, um, as I did with everyone else I helped, and so I don't really think there's anything substantial here.
Virginia, would you like to respond?
First off, I did not make a claim as to whether or not the person consented to stuff or not. I've only filmed because I saw candidates looking over shoulders as they voted. And I felt that it was right to make sure there's videotape and submit a violation. Judicial felt that had to be dismissed, and it was up to you guys to do so. Furthermore, I do also want to say, do you mind if I ask a question to Judicial? With considering that this also aligns with other complaints that already earlier today, I don't know if this is true, but are complaints allowed to be combined, things like that, if they are falling under the same categories?
That's something they're filed separately, they will be considered separately.
Okay, just making sure. In any case, I do want to say though that considering the fact this is also not the first time this is videographic proof that at least candidates were looking over people's shoulders, and we've already heard from other complaints that there were either witnesses that felt uncomfortable with them looking over their shoulder, multiple other witnesses that have said they've seen similar behavior. I think that should be taken in consideration. Even though with this original complaint, it's still at least videographic proof that this is something that definitively happened and that people were looking over someone's shoulder.
Okay, thank you so much.
Were you able to hear their conversation?
I did not get close enough to do that.
Did you hear any other conversation at all from them, whether you recorded it or not? Did you hear them engaging with voters? Like what their words were to them?
I did not hear that directly either. No.
And at any point, did you ever see them touch their phone or take their phone?
I didn't see them take their phone. However, the closest that I did see was just pointing. That's also somewhat in the video as well, but I was not close enough to say whether or not they actually touched it or not. I can only say that they pointed. Thank you.
Okay, respondents can make them. I'll just point out again, to Rahini's argument that this is one of like many cases. Again, there has not actually been substantial proof this entire time that we truly did interfere with and take someone's phone or even like cross that line. Calling this proof of that when this was clearly consensual, and I'll let Zoe speak to that too, just isn't like a valid argument.
Yeah, I'd also just like to say, there's no evidence or information as to what we were even doing. Like I could have been on I could have been sharing the Instagram. I know I did, I'm sure I did answer some questions for her, but in that specific instance that the video was taken, there's really no argument, as to what we were actually doing. So I'm confused too. It seems like there's been some inference that because yeah. Sorry, I'm very sick, so if I'm a little bit disjointed, that's why.
Thank you for presenting your point of view. Yeah, I think you touched on what I was gonna say. It could have we had a lot of conversations, and anytime someone was pointing the phone, anytime I was pointing at something, it could have also been our Instagram. There was a lot of the time we're like, oh, which one are you? And then I'd point to that. I'll be like, which one is your my name is hard to say. So when I say I'm Nandana, they're like, oh, which one are you? Because they don't can't correspond the sound to the spelling. So a lot of the time I was literally just pointing to our poster and being like, I'm Nandana, and then that one there. So literally we had so many different conversations. So we weren't trying to coerce anyone. It was literally just pointing and helping them out when they wanted us to, and only. Okay, thank you. Are there any other points of inquiry from the committee? Okay. Are there any final statements from either group? No. Is it a point of information? Okay, last thing, and then we'll move on to the next complaint.
Like what was said earlier, it's pretty evident that the girl had her body turned towards Zoe. But I also wanted to add that through the 3 days of votings, one of the things that led me and my team to be successful is just the genuine conversations with people. And for example, I remember that girl was one of the people who had said that she had heard about us, and that's why she came over to our table to vote, and she was interested in voting for us. And just to even prove more to how much genuine conversation we were having, during the beginning of the elections, I had roughly 730 Instagram followers or something like that. But I've gained over 100 followers just from within this week because I've met so many people and talked to so many people. And I had people messaging me saying, oh, I'm so happy that I met you, etc. And I just want to say that.
I don't think this particularly is related to it, but
yeah, I just wanted to say that because the person that was in the video in question, I remember her saying, oh, I heard about you guys, how can I vote? And that's how she came to our.
Thank you. With that, I would like to move on to the next complaint. Thank you so much. The next complaint is complaint 13 filed by Jacob Gannon against the respondents' names Amanda Najee, Lydia Brahanu, Noe Sterling, Andrew Sanko, Pax. I cannot pronounce my P's. Jacob, you can start with your opening statement, but this is in relation to EPP section 6BH, their campaign practices.
All right, like Sejal said, this is in violation of EPP section 7.5H and the Fair Campaign Practice Statement, which is no longer a viable thing to violate, but also violates the high standard of ethics component of the EPP, which I mentioned earlier. If you look at the piece of evidence that I submitted, like I believe another complainant filed earlier, this has to do with the sticker that was placed over the QR code on another candidate's poster. So it falls under tampering with an opponent's advertising materials. I personally didn't see this as something that could be corrected fully because it was on their poster for multiple days. And although it was fixed soon afterwards, I still think that it qualifies as a minor violation because of the detriment that it made while that poster was up.
Okay. You two are able to present your opening statements.
So because we've already had like this complaint, I don't want to go in circles too much. I'll just say like we are truly sorry that this happened to those candidates. I would never want to do that to anybody else and discourage people from running or just even that kind of behavior between fellow candidates. I really don't want to go in circles too much. It was our sticker. I take ownership for that. I didn't take it down because I didn't know about it being up until I think it was Maya who texted. That's why it was left up for so many days. We just had no idea. Yeah, I don't want to go in circles. Yeah.
Is there anything else you would like to add or make final statements?
I guess going forward, I would encourage candidates to let the people know who they're campaigning to, that there's an appropriate way to appreciate us as candidates if you support us. And that doesn't look like interfering with other candidates' right to express their campaigns. So although it was really unfortunate that someone we didn't necessarily direct to take this action, put the sticker over another candidate's poster, it still happened and it caused adverse effects to another person's campaign.
Thank you so much. Did you guys have a final statement?
Just like I totally agree, and like we have been emphasizing to like our friends and supporters, to just have no negativity in these elections. Yeah.
Just a point of information on the conversation I had with Naomi. What you told me about the Chipotle sticker, I don't know exactly what I said. I think I said, "Oh, I don't think we don't think it's you," which obviously is true. I don't believe that any of you did it in ill intent, but we did notice that it had happened prior to the week of voting. So the sticker was given out prior to your tabling events, which is something that we did this. But
Point of inquiry, when did you start giving out stickers? Was it before tabling?
Yeah, we gave out, I don't know the exact date to be completely honest. It was before campaign though. I think we gave them out like 2 weeks prior.
Or prior to voting.
No, not before campaigning, before voting. Yeah, I'll clarify that. Like we can say.
New territory.
Thank you.
Yeah, we didn't have the stickers until like later, so not before campaigning.
Do you know the date which you
I think it was, sorry, I'm the one that got the stickers printed.
You can go.
Sorry. Okay. I think it was, I got the first stickers printed like a week after we were allowed to start posting stuff, and we were doing a lot of in-person campaigning, just like an hour each day, like one or two of us. So the stickers were being given out way before tabling, but after the period in which that was allowed to happen. So
Thank you.
it was like a week after. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. With that, was there anything else? Anything from the Judicial Committee?
So just to clarify, is it from the time that you guys found out about the sticker being there to the time that you guys took the sticker off, how long was that?
I think it was like an hour, or not even an hour, but like we were on the app when we got the text, me and Nandana were, and we immediately went and took it down. We don't stand for that either, and don't want people to think that that's aligns with our values.
Thank you so much. And with that, we will go on to the last complaint. This is complaint number 18, filed by Jacob Gannon. This is towards respondents Ahmad Abi, Max Franz Knight, Michael Garcia, Andrew Sternfeld, Ian Sachs, and Melanie Colley. This is in regards to EPP Section 8 for campaign finance. Jacob, when you're ready, you can make your opening statement.
Thank you. I think this one should be pretty straightforward. The campaign final financial disclosure form was due last Friday at 5 p.m. Yeah. And so at that point, Brendan, my advisor, sent me all of the forms that he had received through the Husky Link portal, and I noted all the names that were absent.
To ask to keep all conversations just quiet, just because I would like to prevent distractions, and I've already asked several times. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, at that point, noted all the names that were absent from the file, and then included those in the complaint that I submitted. So all of the names that are listed are those who I did not receive a final financial disclosure form from.
Did you receive an initial form from them?
Yes, I believe everybody that was accepted as a candidate filed an initial disclosure form.
Yeah, for me, literally just a complete oversight on my end, and that is totally a violation on my end. I take full responsibility. I was on a plane to Michigan, and I was at the airport, and I just totally forgot to submit that to you. So I take 100% responsibility for that. Guilty as charged. I'm so sorry, and I apologize for that. So I'm so sorry. Thank you for your hard work during this. I know that was like, oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, of course. I'm so sorry.
And then Andrew?
Yeah, pretty much exact same thing for me of a guilty plea there. I forgot I got sick and it just kind of slipped. No excuse there. And yeah, I'm happy to get you it now. I know it would be late, but yeah, that's my bad.
Just wondering, Peyton, is that completed or is it still incomplete?
It's not submitted, but I have it. But yeah. So
did you just lose track or?
Yeah, I was literally just.
You didn't submit it before it?
Yeah, I literally just yeah. So that was it. And I didn't know, I wanted to be here to know if like how to redeem it. So beforehand. So that was the only reason why.
I think my question was just like, if you knew you were going to be on a flight, was there a reason you couldn't do it?
Oh, I literally just forgot.
Oh, okay.
Like it literally just completely slipped my mind. So I just like sincerely apologize for that. That was just completely my fault. But sorry. Yeah,
thank you.
Of course.
And then can you reiterate how soon after you received the complaint that you still haven't submitted it?
No, because no, I just didn't know how to, like redeem myself for this. And so I wanted to be here and like hear what I needed to do for it and inquire in person about it. That was the only reason. No malintent of no submission, just seriously, just complete oversight.
Did you reach out to Jacob when asking, or did you just want to be in person?
Yep, just in person, which is also, again, I apologize for it and an oversight. So thank you for all your work.
Jacob, did you want to?
I would have appreciated an email. Yeah. I totally understand. I do think it's a fair point that I believe the Husky Link form is closed permanently, so there wouldn't have been a way to submit through the official portal after the deadline. So that's something to note. For the other people mentioned, Ahmed intended to withdraw but was unable to because we passed that deadline. There might have been confusion there, but I did send him an email letting him know that he was no.
We also received that email.
Okay, thank you. For Max and Michael, I'm not sure what the situation is there. And for Juan, I believe same situation as Peyton, just totally slipped.
Yeah. Okay. Great. But again, thank you for all your hard work during this. And that was like I'm so sorry that had to be like the final end of it. So I'm so sorry. But again, thank you for your hard work. And that will get submitted to you however I can do that. So yeah.
I missed that. So you said Maud withdrew and then Max, what'd you say? Was Max and
to correct, Ahmad intended to withdraw. It was past the deadline, so that wasn't something we could actually do. Max, we haven't heard from in quite a long time. Michael, not sure. Rowan, accident.
Thank you. Okay. Are there any other questions from the Judicial Committee? No. With that, those are all the complaints that we will be hearing today. Complaint 19 that was posted in front of the SAO office has been dismissed as it was filed after the deadline for complaints. So thank you so much. And I move to adjourn this meeting as judicial will go into executive session. All those in favor? Okay, the 2024 elections complaint hearing has been adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.